It still sounds like the opening to a movie theater. Hey, everybody.
Yeah. When it ends, it should go dun dun dun. That's the only thing it doesn't do.
That's right. And we should remind people to go and get popcorn and soda. Hey, everybody. I'm Tom Mason. I'm the guest host for Silverline Silver Sunday because Roland Mann decided to have one of his kids get married this weekend. And so he is not here. And so joining us tonight are our regular team of experts. We have Mike W. Belcher, that man in the mask guy.
Howdy, howdy, everybody.
And Mike, you want to spell out the name of your website?
MILLERTONGAZETT.
Yes.
SUVSTACK.com.
There you go. Right. And when people go there, what can they find?
All kinds of free comics of Man in the Mask, Tommy Franklin himself.
Excellent.
All kinds of little goodies, too.
Also joining us is the 30 Minutes of Chaos guy himself, Tommy Florimonte.
Howdy do, howdy do. Went bike riding today and didn't run into one tree, so I did pretty good.
Did you get in the way of any cars?
I don't ride on the out on the street. I ride in the woods, so no cars. If there was a car riding around in the woods, that'd be a bad thing.
Why the woods?
Mountain bike riding.
Oh, all right. Manly.
Yeah, not road bike. Not road bike. Mountain.
So not like going to the store to get groceries.
No, riding around out in the woods where there's little mini jumps and things that break my hand so I can't draw, that kind of stuff.
Excellent. That sounds great. How's your insurance?
But it's really good.
Also joining us is Color Supreme and human being is Roberta Conroy. Hi, Roberta.
Hi, everyone. Having a good day.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a special guest today who's been on the show before. He's the current artist writer on the revived Flash Gordon comic strip, and he also has a book coming out, a trade collection of his Lavender Jack webtoon that debuts from Dark Horse this Tuesday in beautiful hardcover, I believe, isn't it? Yes.
Well, it's soft cover, but it's as heavy as a hardcover.
Excellent. Oh, so you can still hurt a person.
The weight, it's so thick, it weighs as much as a hardcover. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's good Dark Horse paper. So
when they sent me, oh, sorry, I stepped on my own intro. Hi, I'm Dan Schkade. Thank you so much for having me on again. I was so happy that we were able to squeeze in an appearance right before the book came out because I feel like I've been talking to you guys, especially you, Mike, over the course of Lavender Jack's whole existence. I first pitched it in 2016. It first became a webtoon in 2018. It was in publication until 2022 or 3, and now it's finally being collected in 3 wonderful hardcover adjacent softcover volumes. And I'm just glad I get to share this milestone with you guys.
Awesome. It's a more than time for it. You know, very much everybody that I know have been looking forward to it. So
yeah, it's been a long time since I've been this excited, I guess, about a new type of superhero character.
Oh, wow.
And I think let's start again. How did
rewind?
We'll get to the praise part later. But so when you started as a webtoon, how did that function? How did that work out? Why did you go there?
Well, it's funny. I actually originally pitched it to Dark Horse as a conventional miniseries, and it got pretty far there. And I believe maybe this has become apocrypha that's become fact in my mind, but I believe it got bummed because Joss Whedon was also going to do a like Edwardian Victorian era mystery series with Dark Horse that would have come out around the same time. So I think I was bummed for that. Ended up
we don't know who that guy is. Who's that guy?
Not now.
I don't even know what sounds I made just now. But it ended up being, I think, a good thing because shortly thereafter, a friend of mine, Becca Caden, became an editor at Webtoon at their Los Angeles office, and she convinced me to pitch it there, and I think it had a life on Webtoon that it wouldn't have had as a conventional miniseries. I mean,
yes,
the 3 volumes that we're putting out through Dark Horse, each of them is 330 pages. So in total, there's going to be about 1,000 pages of Lavender Jack coming out through Dark Horse.
That's amazing.
that's awesome.
Because I'm very happy that it's getting collected that way. But even that's cut down. Like there are sequences, some whole chapters that have been left out to hit the page count. So there's probably in excess of 1,100 pages of this worth of comic that I drew on Webtoon. And that's like a 55, 60 issue series. And you just don't get those anymore.
No,
Hardly ever.
Close, right? I mean, so I think that's like how many issues of Hellboy came out in the 90s. So it's, I just had so much more latitude with Webtoon than I would have had otherwise. And so now it gets to return to a terrestrial comic book format after basically being allowed to like train in the mountains before finally coming back to the city.
But you also had a chance to I think you're right. I think if it had gone straight to Dark Horse and you'd have gotten your 3 or 4 issue miniseries out of them, and then that would have been it.
Probably.
No offense, I'm not saying just because of the work. I'm just saying because of the way comic books work.
Yeah.
By going to Webtoon and by building up an audience over a period of time, you can go back to Dark Horse and sort of like, well, here I'm bringing, instead of Dark Horse bringing its publishing to you, you're bringing your audience to Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was
and with the Webtoons, you were able to do so much more with the graphics.
Oh.
Yes, I mean that was a decision early on because there were other Americans doing comics on Webtoons, doing sort of American style comics, because you have like a big part of why Webtoon opened their LA office was to get Americans to figure out how to do traditional North American comics for their platform.
Right.
And so some people were intentionally keeping their panels pretty normal panel size so that they could be reassembled into a page, a conventional page down the line. And I thought, let's not half it. Let's go all in on the format, big scrolls, real, like me trying to utilize all the Eisner stuff that I had studied while I was doing The Spirit, all these like panels bleeding into each other. And I'm also a pretty big Brian Michael Bendis fan. I actually like the like cascading like family tree of word balloons sometimes. Right. And so I was given a lot of opportunity to play around with that. It's made reformatting it a bit of a chore. But I love the amount of room I was given to experiment by embracing this new format.
Yeah, because there's a sequence in episode 12 where Lavender Jack is escaping from the ball, and he's jumping down from the top of I guess it's a castle or fortress. He's jumping down, and there's a series of images that as you scroll up, you see him in different places as he's jumping down and ends up in the garden. And it would basically be, it's essentially a 5 or 6 panel sequence, but it's one long panel of him going down. And as I was reading, I thought, oh, this is cool. This is like watching a movie. And then I thought, he's not going to be able to format that into a comic book.
Well, let's see. I have the volume 1 here.
Oh, look at you.
I don't know how well this will pick up on camera, but this is that sequence. Let's see.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So we
Yeah.
have the. So I
There we
was
go,
able
yeah.
to. I was able to incorporate the vertical panels sometimes.
Right. That's
I was
beautiful.
I was really looking to the '80s Frank Miller Daredevil. Well, Frank Miller and Klaus Janson
Mhm.
Daredevil,
Yeah.
which really utilized these vertical panels to give a sense of the cramped verticality of Hell's Kitchen.
Right.
But sometimes, like the height of a comic book page is actually pretty small. Like I would have to some of the scrolling scenes in Lavender Jack, I would have to make them like ruler thin to fit on the page. So there was a lot of having to chop stuff off and make into separate panels stuff that was one contiguous stretch, and sometimes having to just cut something altogether because it would be better to excise that moment than to try and kludge it into a place that didn't want it.
Did you have to redraw any sequences that didn't quite work right, just to make it so that you still fit that part of the story in, but you needed to redraw it a little bit or move things around? I guess if you did it all digitally, you could just move things around to make it fit right.
I did a lot of moving things around. I don't think I wholly redrew anything. Sometimes what I would do is, because everything on the webtoon, terminates on the. I don't know what that was.
I think you just finished
that was
his
weird.
face.
I don't know, but I think I'm a circus monkey. I've been hypnotized.
I'm gonna
I think
not do that again.
Flashed us, so I don't remember what's going on. So it's gone.
Sorry about that. I feel like we all just got neuralized.
It's a Men in Black kind of thing. We just
So there are some figures where like the shoulder terminates at the edge of the phone screen. So I did a lot of drawing the rest of the shoulder.
You drew the rest of
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
And,
That sounds cool.
and also a lot of like making panels a lot taller, like using wherever there's negative space, expanding the panel inside that negative space so there was no seam.
Right.
Like if it is just like a flat black space, I can easily stretch that up and then fit in the dialogue because you actually have less. I mean, I'm talking to cartoonists. You guys all know this. There's a lot less lettering room when you're doing a proper comic book than what you can get away with digitally.
Yeah, it's very tight.
Yeah.
It is, and you can't like pinch and stretch on a piece of paper to zoom in on the text the way you can. Yeah,
No.
Paper gets all fingerprinty.
So before we go further, why don't you give us the pitch for what Lavender Jack is, so that people know what we're talking about?
We also have a question in the chat about what he just talked about. So.
Oh, sure. Well, here, why don't we do question and then I'll do pitch.
Okay.
All right. So you got a question from David Ace. He says, "Did you have an editor figure out how and what to cut, or was that left up to you?"
That was left largely up to me. I do have an editor at Dark Horse, Jennifer Wordle, who's very good and very patient. But in general, because the reformatting of Lavender Jack is so strange and specific, I think everybody kind of let me do my thing because no one else kind of knew how to untangle the little like cable drawer of narrative that Lavender Jack is. I did a huge shout out to the Dark Horse copy editors because it is very humbling to be getting notes on a comic you wrote 10 years ago and finding out that you've misspelled the word intelligence.
Did you know?
Oh, there's some real like I used the wrong hanger. Like hanger with an E, you put a coat on. Hanger with an A is what you park a plane in.
Right.
So just all
Dialect. It's the slang of the character.
That's right.
That's right. You meant it.
Look, your world building.
Double down on it. Say that's what I meant to say. Leave me alone.
There were a couple of times where there was a note, and I was like, "Well, it's the style." I almost did make that argument, and there were some that I did. Like there's a character, Dame Doctor Agatha Sampat, and they wanted me to make it Dr. Dame and then have the doctor be Dr. abbreviated.
Right.
And I was like, nah, we lose a lot in translation if we do that. Dame Doctor sounds nicer. Having it all spelled out makes it like a title. It sounds better. But there are a lot of things where I was like, I could push back on like what version of the word color spelling of the word color I'm using, but I'm so wrong about so many other things in this manuscript. I really don't feel like I got the juice.
Tom would not admit that.
Well,
I would fight everything.
Yeah.
Mostly not out of arrogance, but just because I think it's funny.
I think after the first 330 pages, the joke would have gone a little stale.
Yeah, yes. It's easier to do with a 24-page comic. It's harder to do with a 330-page graphic novel.
Well, speaking of which, so I'm pitching just off the top of my head. The city of Gallery is a place of science, diversity, and wealth, but it's also held in the clutches of a corrupt ruling class that's squeezing it for all it's worth. Enter Lavender Jack, a devilish vigilante whose fighting prowess and advanced technology make him a nightmare for Gallery's elites. But they're not about to loosen their grip on the city without a fight, and they've got some devils of their own. Dan Schkade's outstanding webcomic. Oh wait, no, that's the rest of
it. What I love about the world building is that it is it feels new, but it also feels familiar.
That's the hope.
I mean, so you don't have to go. It's not like Dune where you have to imagine an entire society before you understand the story. There's a certain familiarity to the backgrounds and to the clothes, and you can sort of layer out the reveals about the world through the plot without having to make people understand the world first.
He makes the fiction work for him.
Yes.
Thank you. I mean, that is the hope. I think that using genre tropes as a way to help your story move itself along is that's how I like to write. That's the stuff I like to read. I like tropey genre things. In a way, it kind of harkens back to the Shakespearean tradition, where there are characters whose role is that they're a clown, and the clown has a certain narrative dynamic that fits into an old play like that,
right?
Or like the in Japanese No theater or the old Grecian theatrical traditions, and like the two goons where one's big and one's small. Like that's one of those character types,
right?
That's one of our new like bits of antiquity theater that help you understand. All right, this is the scene where our detective is getting beaten down initially. Later, she'll get up and turn the tables, but we got to endure this. We got to cross this narrative threshold first.
I think the audiences they like to see genre tropes, and they sort of expect them, but not in the cliche way. They want to see, okay, I want to see what Dan does with this, or I want to see what Mike does with this, or I want to see how they handle this. And if they do it in a great way, then I'm in. And I think that's because it's like the clown thing. If you go to a Shakespearean play, you sort of expect, okay, I want to see these things, but now they're, instead of being funny, they're murderous, or instead of being murderous, they're whatever. And I think that's it. It plays to the audience expectations, but then it also twists it around so that they leave satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think of, there's this Australian comics and pop culture podcast called The Weekly Planet. And they were doing a review of the Marvel Secret Invasion series, which I haven't seen, so I can't speak to its quality one way or the other. But they were talking about how for years, fans of Marvel shows and movies were saying, like, we want a nice grounded spy thriller set in the Marvel universe, a little more stripped down, a little more character focused. And some people were saying, well, now you got it with Secret Invasion and you still don't like it. You guys don't even know what you like. And the hosts of the podcast are saying, well, it should have been good. Like,
right. That's
just because you gave us the nouns we wanted, it still wasn't fun. Like the storytelling tropes of genre things like detective fiction, like superheroes, those are just colors for you to arrange. And, they can be done well or done badly, but there's only so far they can take you.
Right. And I think if you listen to the fans and say, "Oh, I want these characters to get married or whatever," it's like, well, yeah, but not like that. You did it in the clunkiest way possible, and you did it like the way 10,000 other characters get married. Why didn't you bother to sort of dig in deeper and make it weirder and more interesting? And they don't. And so,
having the make it weirder and more interesting, I think, is such a good a good like thing to have tacked up above your workstation when you're writing or drawing or anything. Like, I think some stuff, like, you should steer into some expectations. Like a big problem that a lot of people, including myself, point to with the last season of Game of Thrones was there were story arcs, character arcs for the whole series that were building towards fairly like a clear conclusion, a clear, like, the handsome hero with the sword is going to beat the evil ice guy, like,
right.
and the showrunners were like, well, that's too easy. Like, let's put a twist on it. Let's have it be another character instead. And it's like, well, then what are we doing? I stood in this long line to get a taco, and then you handed me a torta. Like, I guess I still like it, but sometimes the wait is like, you do actually want what you've been waiting for. You just want it in a weird and interesting way.
Yeah, I think that's why Firefly gets such a tremendous lift, is because when you watch it, you think, oh, wait a minute, this is cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And then you watch as Joss Whedon and his writers sort of twist that around and apply science fiction tropes to the cowboy genre, and they come up with sort of a new thing. There's new language, there's new words, there's new twists on stuff, and I think that's why people hold Firefly and others in high regard, because it takes those familiar tropes and then it sort of subverts them or inverts them.
Yes, I think that's totally right, and I think that's a big key to what makes franchise storytelling good. Like, there's like a set number of Batman stories, like there's the the Joker. I'm not doing a comprehensive list or anything, but there are like beats that some big stories follow. Joker gets loose, and a beloved character either dies or almost dies. That's one. Turns out there's a secret society working Gotham from inside. That's one. Like, there are shapes of story that you redress with different villains and different side characters, art styles. You got to know how to play the hits, but then again, still make it interesting while you're playing it. Make it fresh. Yeah.
Well, it's like going to a rock concert. You want to hear the band play the hits from their albums, and then they'll work in some new stuff to sort of tease you for what's coming. But you don't want to go to a concert that's just all new stuff that you've never heard before.
Yeah. Well, in a recent arc of Flash Gordon that I did, there was the main story that I wanted to tell. This is the one that's just wrapped up. Has elevated side character Bach going undercover inside what he realizes is Ming the Merciless's new operation. I knew that was the A plot, so I'm like, well, I don't want Flash to be in this story, so we're going to give him a B plot somewhere else. And I'm like, so what do we do with Flash here? And I thought, in our A story, a new vulnerable character, a character that could realistically die, is being put in the most dangerous situation imaginable. So in Flash's story, let's like solve the audience's bruises. Let's let them relax with him just doing Flash Gordon stuff, with him jumping over great chasms and punching a bad guy in glasses and saving people from fires, like just hero stuff, so we can like make sure the pH balance is still where it's supposed to be.
Right.
And people aren't like, I've spent 10 weeks in this strange, tense spy story, when I was kind of hoping somebody would pull out a ray gun.
Right. Which is it's a common format in television and movies too. When you have a big action scene, you always sort of slow it down with a quiet moment. Or when you have, in television, you have an A story and a B story, and the B story is usually lighter than the heavier A story. And they do that even in sitcoms too. Like MASH has a heavy A story sometimes, and then a B story about somebody trying to sell a frog, or buy buy chili or something, and so it creates it. It doesn't wear the audience out. It keeps them bouncing from A to B.
Yeah, storytelling's all about contrast. It's the notes you don't hear.
Right. And so hey Jose, can you pop up one of the Lavender Jack graphics that we have?
I sure can.
Are you? Because I know I can't do that.
No,
I'm
dude.
going to keep saying that until somebody else does it for me. That's the secret sauce.
You can get pretty far with that, actually.
Actually, you can. I found, like, when I travel to a foreign land, if I try but am stupid about it, I will get tons of help. Whereas if I don't try and I'm somewhat arrogant about it, nobody cares. So my advice to people in any walk of life is to pretend to be stupid, and people will rush to help you.
You know, I think you got something there.
So
Why did I just do that?
so let's wait for Jose. Now there we go. There it is.
Okay.
So that's the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's out on Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, March 31st.
Okay. And in comic shops, at Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, at wherever you buy quality trades, there you are.
Exactly, wherever fine comics are sold.
Yes. Now, are you getting, what's the preliminary word that you're hearing about it?
Well, as I understand it, people are liking it. It's I heard orders were pretty good. It looks great. I mean, Dark Horse. I truly believe that Dark Horse is like in the top 3 of the comic book business when it comes to nice looking trades.
Oh yeah.
Like they've got such a great sense of design. The book was delayed. It was supposed to come out at the beginning of March, came out at the end because they just go for a higher paper stock manufacturer, and I guess they needed to wait a couple weeks to get it because they're not willing to cut corners. You know, they know that, you know, this sitting on the shelf, like that's their business. That's right. What ultimately their product is, which is nice to see. It's nice to work for companies that have a good sense of what their strengths are.
Yeah.
And I feel like where businesses, especially publishing businesses, fall short is when they get too focused on making a thing and don't pay attention to who is actually consuming it.
Right.
And obviously, like using the word consume when talking about like art and comics that's a little bit Silicon Valley, I guess. But if nothing else, referring to, you know, enjoying art as consuming it should make us as creators bear in mind that we are, like, the nutritional value should be high. We should be using good ingredients. We should be using sustainable farming practices when we make our product, because somebody will be reading it, somebody will be processing it, enjoying it. You want to respect their intelligence. You want to avoid things that alienate them. And I'm not talking about difficult plots or words they don't know. I mean, like, avoid, you know, using tropes that dehumanize people. Avoid. I don't know. I just feel like keeping the audience in mind while you're making something is very important, and I feel like that's something Dark Horse does really well.
Yeah, and I think the great thing about trades, especially the quality level that Dark Horse does, is they make it to be an evergreen.
Yeah,
it's like this is for posterity. They'll keep it in print. It's a big book and go to libraries. It can be, you know, it can be you can have second printings, third printings, whatever, but the quality is always there with those guys.
Absolutely.
That
was a conversation.
My next question, though,
please,
which is harsher, I guess, is now that Mike Richardson is out and the new guy at Dark Horse is interested in experiences as opposed to create your own comics, where does that leave Lavender Jack?
Well, it looks like all 3 volumes are still coming out. I just turned in all the files for volume 2 earlier this month. This week, I'm finishing the new cover for Volume 3. If you know, I've got my contract. The ink's all signed. The ink's all signed.
Which is funny. You know what you mean, though.
Right. So I think I'm okay. And of course, nothing is sure. I'm constantly looking towards a future where all of a sudden the bottom falls out. But as far as I know, nothing changes for me. I don't view this as a bad thing personally. The new guy in charge, his name escapes me, but his rap sheet is pretty good. Like he, in terms of getting new people with capital behind them taking over a company, I think that this guy is a pretty solid bet, and I'm actually kind of interested to see what direction the company moves under his stewardship, because the party that he represents has had a their hand on the wheel of Dark Horse for a couple of years now.
Right.
So Lavender Jack got okayed under the new regime. So I'm a wait and see guy. I don't mind panicking. I think everybody should panic a little sometimes. I think it's good for your pores. Exactly.
Panic, worry, and fear. They're the foundation of comic book careers.
Right. But I choose to be optimistic.
So one of the things that's good. I'm glad to hear that. The one of the things that we all talk about is coloring, because Roberta's a colorist, Mike is a colorist, his son is a colorist, and we've all had our work colored. Was there a change because coloring for the web is a different saturation, I guess, than it is for paper? So did you have to make any kind of adjustments based on screen versus paper?
I didn't. I gave them. It was drawn, colored in RBG. All of my files were RBG. I gave them RBG files, and they just have a really good production team over there. So they did whatever tweaks they needed to make, and it printed really nice. Volume 2 is a little bit. Jen went for a bit of a darker color palette in Volume 2, so I think that we've done a good job at making sure that there's still the right shapes carved out in the darkness, so that you don't lose any visual information. That any point at which the dark washes out the shapes has like a narrative momentum behind it, where you're perceiving that there's some information in the black that you can't quite make out, but it makes the scene seem richer, as opposed to just you can't tell what's going on.
Right.
So that's the hope. It seems I have a lot of confidence in their team, because when you look at like some of the great, I was just rereading the first edition of The Conqueror Worm, a Hellboy miniseries from the 90s with colors by, it's got to be Dave Stewart.
It's got to be, yeah.
I would think so.
He goes for some really daring, like dark, really like juicy grays in that one, and it looks fantastic. So I feel like they're going to be able to pull it out.
Well, I think if they can make Mike Mignola happy and Frank Miller happy, they can pretty much make anybody happy, really.
One would think.
So,
my God, if they weren't happy at Dark Horse, I think that's a chemical imbalance at that point. Dark Horse is built around those guys.
Yeah.
True.
That's a good point.
Because I think Hellboy's like a 30+ year project over there.
Yeah. Hellboy. I think that
a long time.
Yeah. Mine is the last generation of cartoonists that will have been around longer than Hellboy.
We'll put that on your tombstone, I guess.
Yeah.
So do you see more Lavender Jack after these 3 volumes have finished, or are you eager to go on to something, whatever the next thing is?
Well, it's always kind of both. I have 3 projects I would love to do, that I work on. I kind of nibble away at whenever I have a free moment. One is a quite grounded Western. One is a fantasy detective series. And then the other is another intellectual property thing, like an existing IP that I want to pitch for. But I also have an idea for a new Lavender Jack OGN that would happen after the 3 volumes. They would set up this 4th one that I think could be a lot of fun. It's called Lavender Jack to the Nines, and it follows our the main 4 Lavender Jack characters as they encounter this group, basically an American version of their group coming to Gallery, only instead of trying to help the downtrodden, they're out to plunder. And it's a lot of really cool characters. I think it's a really fun story. So maybe in, I guess, volume 3 comes out a year from now. So maybe that's a conversation I can have with the new muckety mucks at the big DH after that. But yeah, that's between the other comics I want to do and Lavender Jack. I'm hoping that whatever I do next, I don't know. I feel very enthusiastic about all of it. So I feel like wherever I end up going, it's going to be fun for people.
That's excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, any of you guys have some questions you want to toss out?
I want to throw back to the did you ever entertain the idea with having to take it from the Webtoons format? Did you think about maybe doing the trades in European style with the little wider book? Was that ever a consideration?
It really, I mean, that would have been really cool. It's a really fun format, and it would have fit the subject matter.
Yeah.
But Dark Horse wanted it to be a normally sized, normally formatted comic. I think the idea was they wanted to really capitalize on the audience that already existed for it and the crossover Webtoon comics opportunity that offered. But I would love to do a larger sized volume, I guess, of some comics someday, because it's fun to have that space to play around with.
Well, yeah, I mean, it has a fit for Lavender Jack. It would have been, like I said, it definitely had that European flair to it.
I mean, if there was... Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
When you relicense it for overseas publishing, you can get it in the big album, and then you can republish that format in the U.S.
Oh, man. I wonder what the TIFFs will look like after that.
Well, there's that, yes. I don't think that's far ahead. I'm just an idea guy.
Mike, when you said the European format, are you talking about like
the square bound, the more letter size?
Okay,
8.5 by 11, basically.
Yeah,
it'd be cool to do a new Lavender Jack story like that. Like if this what I've been calling the 4th volume. That's how I've been talking to my friends and partners about it. To do the 4th volume as an oversized thing, I think would be really cool, because you're going from the infinite freedom of Webtoon to a much more free, open printed volume, do like a Black Sad proportioned thing, which of course is another Dark Horse production. But it would be a shame to have like 3 of these, and then the 4th one is different.
Size.
Yeah. It's stacked differently. Yeah.
It's a common complaint among collectors. They don't fit.
But then maybe the 3 it's like that's seen as its own complete unit, and then there were others too. So
you get to tell fans that.
Yes. If there's anything about Lavender Jack fans, which I love with all of my entire heart, they love having opinions about format.
I'm shocked by this. I am sure that you will get angry nerds about the paper.
One of the first comments that I saw when I announced it, and this is just luck of the draw, like whoever answers first is who answers first. One of the very first comments I saw when I was posting on Blue Sky about that there was going to be a collected edition. Here's the cover. It's coming out from Dark Horse. Was like, I kind of hope to be a hardcover.
Right.
And that genuinely like made my heart full. It's like, those are my boys.
That's right. That's where you go. That's where you reply and you say, look, I wanted to, but the man just wouldn't let me.
Yeah. And then I tag my boss in the response.
That's right. Yeah.
That's always my excuse. I'm just saying.
Go fight the man, young man. So the question I ask almost everybody is, where's my Netflix show? Where's my Lavender Jack show?
NDA is what he's trying.
Yeah,
to
he sees.
Yeah,
he's
he's
him. You know,
I've heard that pause before.
I'm really excited about the 3 volumes coming out. I'm excited for the wide accessibility that offers.
Well, you know what I had for lunch, to answer your question.
He's kind of Tokyo drifted around that one, Dan.
That's right.
I've been watching a lot of Senate hearings.
Right.
So, since that cannot be said, who would you cast?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was watching the Oscars a couple weekends back, and they have this new category for, it's called, it's not just best casting, it's like excellence in casting or something like that.
Right.
So for the first time, casting directors are able to get awards. I believe the casting director for One Battle After Another won last week. And it made me think about the comic fan thing of saying this actor would be good for the role. Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander on The Boys, talked about how people thinks he should be Arnold Wesker from Resident Evil, who of course is a very severe, sinister looking man with sort of slicked back blonde hair.
Right.
And Anthony Starr said, "You know the blonde hair's fake and I'm 50, right?" And the idea of casting getting this big award made me think, like, there's such an art, such a chemistry to casting that we just have no idea about. And it's made me think, like, whatever actor I'm thinking of, it's like 5 years out of date for them to do this character.
Right.
I feel like one of those guys that's saying that Kurt Russell's son should play young Snake Plissken. He's like, I'm older than my dad was when he played Snake Plissken.
Yeah.
With that being said, I do still think that Patton Oswalt should be the Lord Mayor. I think that would be fun.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
It's Patton Oswalt. He'll be doing that part. Like, he'll be doing drop-in characters like that until he is 90 years old.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. He'll never be the lead, but he'll always be that guy.
Yeah.
So he comes in, he does a character bit, he nails it, and then he's gone.
Hey, no pressure on the side guys. They can do
Exactly.
the work.
He was awesome.
You're not carrying the show on your back.
Yes, I agree. He has this anecdote about going to like a cast party for Batman Begins, I think. And, you know, there's Christian Bale and Cillian Murphy and Liam Neeson and Patton Oswalt just being around these beautiful, like, skinny superstars. During the mid 2000s, which I think we can all agree was a very body shamey point in our history. And he was just like glumly looking at the snack table, and some other heavyset actor, I don't even remember who it was, came over and like clapped his hands in the back of Oswald's shoulders and said, "Character actors, who cares if we're fat?"
Let's go eat. Yeah.
That's
That's great.
That's what I tell my doctor. I'm training to be a character actor.
That's what my cat's telling me. My goodness.
Well,
Somebody rolling a basketball across my floor. I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask you about the webtoon stuff. So, are you planning on doing any, like, whatever this next thing is you're going to do? Are you going to try to do it at Webtoons, or are you going to just go straight to hopefully Dark Horse or something like that?
It's a good question, because one of them, the Supernatural Detective series, I think would do quite well on Webtoon. The only thing is, I wouldn't be able to draw it anymore. I can't keep up that pace anymore, especially if I'm still doing Flash Gordon. So I would want to team up with an artist, and just an artist with different skills of mine too. The basic idea of the comic is we're set in a medieval, coastal fantasy city, real King's Landing type thing, and there's supernatural mysteries that are all like, it's kind of similar to Lavender Jack. The various like dark powers in the city are representative of exploitation of vulnerable people. and there are these people from all different points of society, these 5 people who are secretly in a group together that investigates these crimes and passes what they discover on to this benevolent but very dark and very scary entity who is trying to set some things right in the city. It's kind of like the Shadow,
Right.
And so somebody who could draw goopy oopy medieval streets and castles and fantasy creatures, like I think working with somebody with a skill set like Lucas Kettner, for example, so working with people who just had a different, maybe a less clean vibe to me. I think this series kind of calls for that. I feel like I would do it a bit of a injustice. Whereas if somebody else drew the Western I want to do, that it wouldn't work at all. Nobody could draw them.
Right.
Oh, so the answer to that question is that's something I think would work really well on Webtoon if I got the right artist. And I also haven't talked to anyone there about doing something creative in a number of years. So I don't know what the landscape is like, or if they'd even be interested. Maybe that's an email conversation for the summer.
Right. Is your same editor still there, or do you do not even know?
Unfortunately, she's moved on. Bree Boswell, Becca Caden was my first editor, and then Bree Boswell was on for the majority of the run, and she's gone on to bigger and better things, which is not surprising because she is. You ever just meet somebody and you realize that you're near the start of their movie?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I see big things for Bree.
That's good. Bad for you, but good for her.
That's what you hope. You hope that the people that you believe in outstrip you and get their own spinoffs.
Yes. So I guess we should. What I want to do is I want to bring this back more to Lavender Jack, because you made some stylistic choices that I really like. Like you made Lavender Jack's when he's at the ball and he interrupts over the intercom system, all of his dialogue, all of the interior of his word balloons is all lavender.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you know it's him. And stuff like that really makes use of the format to sort of inform the narrative. I really like those choices that you make. Are those things that just, like, for me, it would come to me like after the fact. Oh, I should have made that lavender. But you lay it in at the beginning like a real creator.
Well, I like Todd Klein a lot. I grew up on Sandman. During the 80s and 90s, we were experimenting with text balloon color as a character trait. And sometimes people overdo it. Like there's one panel that sticks in my mind. It's from Heroes Reborn Fantastic Four. Jim Lee drew it. It was like Marvel's first attempt at doing an ultimate universe.
Right.
And there's one panel where it's the Thing, Reed Richards, the Human Torch, and Black Panther. And they're all like standing before some cosmic thing. And they're talking to each other, and each character had a different styled balloon. Reed's was like kind of wobbly. Black Panther's was purple. The Human Torches was on fire and
Mm-hmm.
Fire. And the Thing had like craggy rock talk.
So it was a little too much.
It was too much.
Yeah,
It was if everybody has their own speech balloon,
Yeah, it becomes
nobody
annoying at that point.
It does. I think that Todd Klein does it a lot better, where everybody has some characters have gently different balloons.
Right.
And I feel like that's what I like to do with Lavender Jack. So when you do something kind of big, like in the second season, our villain, the Black Note, speaks in black balloons with white text.
Right.
Like I said, growing up on Sandman, right? So that has a lot more punch because he's one of the only characters in it who has his own bespoke style of balloon.
I think in the original run of Swamp Thing that Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson did, they gave Swamp Thing his own special balloon that was different from all the other characters. So that way you know.
Great, like
Remember that. Yeah.
super angular with
Yes.
orange.
Yeah.
Is it orange?
I think my memory says it's probably orange, but usually some historian will weigh in the comments and tell me how wrong I am.
Yeah, I like seeing them sometimes with the text, is in a different font, kind of a thing. So so that way you could tell. That to me is kind of cool. I like it.
It can be
is
distracting though. I think sometimes it can be a little distracting.
It shouldn't. If you have a character who's on screen for a long time, it shouldn't be an unreadable font like Old English.
No.
Weird.
Just another. Yeah,
I agree with that.
the bad guys talking a different font. Something.
I think you could. say
Yeah.
Hey.
There, perfect.
something. Yeah,
Oh man.
It is orange. God, I love it.
it's orange and
It's-
blocky.
Yeah. I bet that was maybe it got tiresome, but I feel like that would be fun. Like to do the Swamp Thing balloons.
It would be.
Because he doesn't talk all that much. Like he
No.
has that slow, long style of
looks a lot.
speech.
He's like if Groot went to college. He doesn't really say a lot.
Groot went to college.
Oh.
So so there's stuff. As I was reading it, I kept thinking, well, I'll ask you, what are your influences for Lavender Jack? Because I know what I think I see, and I don't want to cloud your mind.
Okay. Well, I'm interested if any of these line up with you. Well, like I said, this book, all of Lavender Jack pulls very heavily from Will Eisner's storytelling techniques. I had that very much in mind, to the point that when I was reformatting these pages this year, I'm looking at them now after 3 years of studying Alex Raymond to do Flash Gordon. I'm trying to incorporate more of his narrative language, which is much more anatomical and representational.
Right.
And so going back to read Lavender Jack, I'm struck by some of the swings that I take there that I wouldn't take now, which is instructive. Maybe I should, get back into that. Mm-hmm. So Will Eisner, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is one of my favorite comics of all time. I think Kevin O'Neill, rest in peace, is one of the best cartoonists ever. And I'm also just a big Alan Moore guy.
Right.
So that's definitely present in this. And also Death Note, From Hell, Legends of the Dark Knight, Sandman Mystery Theater, detective, comics about detectives. A lot of that just kind of filters into here. Also, Sir Mimley / Lavender Jack just talks like Emma Frost. Something about Grant Morrison's Emma Frost. I love the way she talks. That's how he talks.
Excellent. That's not. I see the Eisner stuff, especially when Lavender Jack is running across the tops of buildings.
Mm-hmm.
But I also saw a little bit of V for Vendetta.
Oh, sure. See, Alan Moore again.
Alan Moore and McKean. And I saw a little bit of Darwin Cook, which is basically filtered down, I guess, from Eisner.
Well, that is very flattering. In fact, right in my bookshelf here, I grabbed that Darwin Cook. What's it called? Connoisseur edition.
Connoisseur, yeah.
Which is Darwin Cook, also rest in peace. I only got to meet him once, but he had such a fascinating mind. And what a great artist. You're talking about V for Vendetta, with I believe it's David Lloyd was the artist on that.
That's it. I said McKean.
But his way of making a single moment kind of scar your reading experience, like V walking out of the weird facility camp that he was in where he gets burned. Just like the panel of him leaving, Alan Moore's great at picking moments, but Lloyd was great at making them stick. And there are definitely several moments in Lavender Jack in a lot of my comics where I'm trying to capture that sticky moment.
So the detective thing you've talked about, you read a lot of detective stuff for Lavender Jack. You're reading detective stuff for your new thing is the group of detectives. Whatever. Where does the interest in the detectives come from?
Well, I think a lot of it comes from my mom. She was big into Sherlock Holmes, and that was something that we bonded over when I was a little kid. And I think detective stories are just inherently satisfying. Most TV is detective stories. It's a great way to anchor a narrative. It gives you a clear thing to work towards. It gives you a reason to meet a lot of characters, and it's also a style of storytelling where you can really modulate how much danger or violence is in it, depending on what you need.
Right.
So it's very, on just a craft level, I think it's fascinating. Super fun to read. Raymond Chandler is one of my favorite writers ever. Of The Big Sleep and Farewell My Lovely, The Long Goodbye, and the screenplay for Double Indemnity, which not everybody knows. And the thing that mystery also has, I think, more than just about any other genre, is it's a very observational genre where the murder, the missing jewels, the missing daughter, whatever the source of the mystery is, the target of the mystery, it's a vehicle for interacting with people during like chaotic moments of their life. It's the detective is brought in to make sense of a situation that's gone wrong in some way. And I think that you just get really interesting moments from out of characters when you do that, in a way that you can definitely in romance stories or war stories or science fiction stories. That none of these have a monopoly on good character moments, but there's something about a mystery where it's like almost exclusively built around good character moments. So I think that's what I like about it. I've actually never thought about it until this moment when you asked.
Well, that's one of the things I like about detective fiction is it's almost always the rich people have a problem and they take it out on the poor people. And the detective is sort of the guy stuck in the middle, or the woman who's stuck in the middle, who has to sort of unravel it.
Yes.
I like that. I like the societal dynamic of detective fiction.
I think that's why the superhero became so popular. It was a subgenre of essentially a subgenre of detective fiction.
Yes.
I mean, what does DC Comics stand for, right? And I think that there's always an element of the private eye where he's hired by somebody. He or she is hired by a client who has to be of means, or they're a cop, and then they're a cop. They're paid by the state. They're ultimately beholden to a judge. Whereas the superhero is neither. The superhero does it for free. They do it outside the constraints of the law, or like the law works for them also in some cases. I feel like that's a very attractive fiction. Now, when you're talking about the detective stuck in the middle between the powerful and the victimized, there is something that happens at the end of a private eye style detective story that I love. I love it more than almost anything else in fiction. It is the moment at which the detective has uncovered everything. They've realized that they've untangled the mystery. They know who all the players are. And outside of the law, they get to kind of decide what justice will look like in this situation. Because sometimes one of my mom and my dad's favorite Sherlock Holmes stories is The Blue Carbuncle, which is all about finding this blue gem. And Holmes, I believe I have this right, Holmes figures out that it was stolen by a very sympathetic thief. And so Holmes recovers the gem and just lets the thief go. Watson questions him about it, and Holmes says, I am not retained by the police to offset their deficiencies. And so he lets the thief go, and he just keeps the gem. He puts it in his own museum in his apartment, because he figured out, or he decided rather, that no justice would be done either by somebody being punished or somebody getting this back.
Right.
And that's something, if you're a superhero, you get to make that decision and then take off the costume or turn back into Billy Batson or whatever, go on about your life. The detective is taking on some kind of risk. The detective, this could come back to them in some way. They could lose their license, they could get killed by a rival or arrested, whatever. So there's a little bit of like, in this compromise and violence and darkness and through the gossamer haze of booze and regret, I can try to do one good thing that will last exactly as long as it can.
I like those endings too. Chandler does them. Hammett does them. They're very popular in crime movies, where the detective where the private eye solves everything, and then he only reveals certain bits of it to the police because they don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
Because giving them all the information will sort of ruin the solution.
Because that is one of the other little fantasies of the detective story, is the point at which the detective, whether it's a private detective, a superhero, or another cop, they get to go like, well, we got to keep this away from those guys. They'll only blunder it. They'll only mess it up. Who walked through my crime scene? You know,
I'm the arbiter of justice. I decide. Because theoretically, he's been shot at, beaten up. Somebody tried to drive his car off the road, and somebody murdered his best friend or whatever. So he gets to decide.
Yeah, he paid for it.
Did you ever see a TV show called The Residents?
Oh yes. The murder mystery set in the White House, or
yeah,
mystery set in the White House,
with a ton of weird characters.
I love that is becoming popular again. The Knives Out style story that people are, or I mean, it's really the Agatha Christie style story that people are re-embracing, where you just get a bunch of actors that you like, some old actors, some new up and comers. I mean, how many people discovered, I believe his name is Josh O'Connor, in the most recent Knives Out movie, playing a morally conflicted young priest as the central character of the movie. How many people came because they really like Josh Brolin and Daniel Craig, and then discovered this great new actor out of that. Actors love doing it. They love showing up and putting on wigs. It's fun to watch. You never know who the killer is. The British have been doing it nonstop since the 40s. Yeah. And Americans, we just lost our way in this as so many other ways. So I'm glad that we're coming back around to it.
Which goes back to a point we made earlier in the show, which is that, Knives Out and The Residents are basically the Agatha Christie tropes, but they do subvert them. They do play with them, and they bring something new to what could be a stale format, but is not.
Exactly.
My standing shows that I watch are Agatha Christie on Amazon, and I watch Murdoch Mysteries, and you know what I mean, the Knives Out, like the Colt. Like
Murdoch Mysteries are good.
Yeah, I love Murdoch Mysteries. Just the period piece detective stuff, anything, Puro. Just I absolutely love it. So yeah.
Well, there's definitely a lot of Poirot in Madame Ferrier. Pretending to be like Frencher and a little bit slower than she truly is as an investigative tool. You were just talking about how you get people to help you by pretending to be stupid.
It works.
Yeah, and of course Poirot, not wanting to get roasted in the comments. I know that he's Belgian, not French, but I didn't know that for a long time, because me, like most Americans, we think there's like 5 countries in Europe.
Yes,
they're all the same.
3 of them are French.
We all get beat up. We all get canceled.
The great thing about Madame Ferrier is that she's very deliberate. Like she figures it out. She doesn't rush to conclusions. She basically pauses, like when she's sipping coffee or tea or whatever, and she's letting the other people sort of dig the hole for her.
Yeah,
and she puts it together. It's a great use of storytelling.
Thank you. It's very nice to write a character who is smarter and older and more patient and more insightful than you are, because it kind of I've said this quote too many times, especially for how wrong I'm probably getting it. But there's a movie where Gene Hackman plays a thief, and when asked how he comes up with his plans, he says, "I imagine what a smarter man than me would do, and then I do that."
Yes.
So it's fun to write a character who's smarter than you. Just like in Flash Gordon, it's fun to write a character who's like braver and more insightful than I am.
Right.
It's I feel like you should try and reach a little bit with the characters you write, because then you also get to enjoy being stupid with other characters.
Right. But I think you really like Bach better, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I love having Flash Gordon in my life, but Bach is me. I really have a lot of connection to that character.
That's awesome. So we have one final question from someone in the audience, and then we'll let you go if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right. It says it's from Matt Likes Comics. Says, how did you get the job for the Spirit?
Let's see. So that would have been 2015, I guess. I had met Brennan Wagner, colorist, son of Matt Wagner, who's the same age as me. I had met Brennan doing pub trivia in Portland, and he and I worked on a couple of short things for Dark Horse, and that got me on Matt's radar. And Matt, with Brennan kind of cheerleading me, Matt put me in the running to try out for the book. Dynamite was coming out with a new Spirit series / miniseries to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Spirit coming out. He came out in 1940. This was 2015. And I tried out for about 3 months against other artists. And Dynamite wasn't super excited about me at first, but Matt really fought for me. And so after several different rounds of trying out, doing test pages, doing character designs, it came down to a final test page that the remaining artists were supposed to do. Matt gave us a sheet with 4 paragraphs of like story information. The Spirit is running along a train track as a train bears down on him. He leaps off the track right before the train hits him and crashes into a warehouse. Rolling, brushing the glass off him, he realizes that there's a woman being tied to a chair, menaced by a couple of no-necked goons, and the Spirit rescues her, leaping into action, fighting the goons. And so he gave me and the other artists that sheet and said, like, however many panels you want, just tell the story the way you would want to tell it. And I was looking at the 4 paragraphs, and I realized that if you were kind of fruity with it, you could make each of these paragraphs just one panel, and it could be just one page. Whereas other people went real cinematic with running from the train, or like they really built out the fight scene. I slashed it down to the bare bones, making him jumping up the tracks and crashing through the window the same panel. And Matt saw that, and he was like, that was a trick. I wanted to see if anybody would combine the panels like that. And I did, and I got the job.
Nice.
There you go. See how easy that was?
And we're better off for it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I know I am.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up today. I want to thank our special guest, Dan, for being with us. And Lavender Jack comes out Tuesday, the 31st of March. You can get it you can pre-order it from Amazon or Books A Million or Barnes & Noble or wherever you get your pre-orders from. You can pick it up in stores on Tuesday. And it's highly recommended.
Very.
It's a great story. It's a lot of fun. It has a lot of twists and turns. And I'm going to sidetrack again, because the thing that floored me that where I was really in was when I forget the exact where the episode ends, but it's early on where I think, okay, this will go A, and then you cut to what's basically Jungle Fight Club.
Yeah.
And you introduce the woman's and you don't say what it is yet.
Yeah.
There's just this wild-haired Tarzan-looking guy fighting for no apparent reason, and it's revealed as you go along, and then at the end it's revealed who that guy is, and I'm not going to say who it is. I don't want to give away the spoiler. And I thought, oh, now this is gonna, all right, I'm in, because you've tricked me, and you've you've suckered me basically, and you've pulled me in, and now I got to find out who this guy is, and he's coming back into the story. So that, bravo, basically.
Well, that means the world to me. Thank you very much.
So excellent. So check it out. It is Lavender Jack. You can find some snips online if you want to take a look before you purchase, but purchase it. You will not be. It's not a mistake. It's a good thing. Roland Man will be back next Sunday for all those people who like Roland better than me. Jose, thanks for running the board. Mike, Roberta, Tommy, thanks for being here. Dan, always.
Dan, hang out with us after the show.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
Please hang out for a few minutes, and we look forward to having you back. And good luck with the book. Good luck to the next thing. I'm really interested in the detective thing and the cowboy thing.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your support all these years. I'm very excited to be sharing this 72-hour period before the book comes out with you.
Excellent.
Well, you do know that now that you've been on the show for 3 times, it's just, you can ask Tom. The 4th time, that means you have to come on every week. I timed it.
That's but see, Dan has a regular job. I'm basically
he can do other things.
No, it doesn't matter. Once you come on 3 times, and you're a permanent person. You're part of the crew now.
I've offered him drive-bys. A little 5 or 10 minute comes in and just say a little comment about something, then pop back out. So
who could just hang around you guys for 5 or 10 minutes? Impossible.
I agree with that completely.
Stay for the whole show.
And you can find Flash Gordon on Go Comics, by the way, right?
Oh yeah.
So they new episode posts every day. The Sunday strip is it's a recap sort of.
Mm-hmm.
It pushes the story forward slightly, but Monday through Saturday are excellent adventure strip.
Thank you very much.
Go check it out. And as we say here when we say goodbye, what do we say?
Make mine Silverline.
So long, everyone.
Hey, this is Paul Pelletier. Make mine Silverline. Is that okay, Roland?